We have lots to discuss in today's video, including all the latest rumblings around the NHL. We're now less than a week away to the NHL trade deadline. Today's rumblings regarding potential trades involve teams like the Vancouver Canucks, the Ottawa Senators, Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, as well as other teams like the Calgary Flames, Columbus Blue Jackets, and others. We have some signings as well, including a significant one in Utah and Washington. More news from the NHL waiver wire. Some key injury updates as well, including Jack Hughes of New Jersey going down last night. All that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots of NHL news and rumors going around the NHL today, especially one day closer to the deadline. It's Monday, the deadline's Friday. Lots of things heating up in the rumor mill for sure. But before we get into the rumors, we do have a few other things to discuss, including a couple of significant signings, as well as some significant injury updates. In the signings, we have the Washington Capitals have extended goaltender Charlie Lindgren. He gets a 3-year contract extension. Of course, they've already extended goalie Logan Thompson a while back. Now they've started getting him looked after as well. It's a $9 million contract, so that's not $9 million per year. That's $9 million total for an average annual value of $3 million. So based on what we had heard from Lindgren and the Capitals, it sounds like right after they got Thompson done, they started working on Lindgren's contract. They were quite anxious to keep the goaltending tandem together after all the success they've had this year. So Lindgren gets 3 years, $3 million per year for a total of $9 million. And the Utah Hockey Club have extended defenseman Olli Maatta. Maatta is now 30 years old, gets a 3-year contract. Average annual value there is $3.5 million. So that one, a little surprised, to be honest. I thought they may continue to revamp that blue line. I know they've brought a lot of players in over the course of the past season since moving from Arizona, but Maatta's not the defenseman he was early in his career, but certainly able to play a smaller role and still be a serviceable, dependable guy back there. So obviously Utah's been quite pleased with Maatta's play. 3 years, $3.5 million for him. More news from the waiver wires. I mentioned we have Walker Duehr, former Calgary Flame, now with the San Jose Sharks, who picked him up on waivers earlier this year, has him back on waivers. So I'm not sure if there's any potential for a reunion in Calgary or if any other teams will show interest. Obviously, things haven't worked out for him during his stint with the Sharks, and we'll see where he ends up next. We'll find out tomorrow afternoon. A couple of other updates regarding some injuries. The Maple Leafs today are activating Calle Jarnkrok from long-term injury reserve. Of course, Jarnkrok's been out the entire season, so he'll be able to play. And Alex Steeves has been returned to the American Hockey League. Of course, we saw a significant injury last night. We don't have a really major update, but it didn't look good at all for Devil centerman Jack Hughes. Went into the boards pretty hard after getting... to me, it looks like it was a complete accident. I don't think there was absolutely any intent, but got tangled up with his former Team USA teammate Jack Eichel and went shoulder first into the boards. When he was going off, you could tell he was in a ton of pain and distress, and that arm was pretty much dangling. So I get a bad feeling based on looking at that it's not good news, and it's going to be a serious shoulder injury that might require surgery. I'm not necessarily for sure, but maybe a separated shoulder or something. Anyways, it just didn't look good, and consider how late in the season we are. It's not good at all. I mean, if he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season, which would not be surprising at the least at this point, that does give the Devils some options with long-term injury reserve and all that, but he's a really tough player to replace. There's really, I don't think, anybody on the trade market that you could go out and acquire to kind of duplicate or replace what he gives to that team. His brother, Luke, was also hurt recently too, so the Devils are certainly feeling the injury bug here. So terrible news on that sense. I'm not sure how New Jersey's going to react to the deadline and everything. We've heard a lot of rumblings they've been looking to add. We knew they were going to be a buyer most likely, and obviously well on track to being a playoff team, but this might change course a little bit. We'll have to wait and see where things go. Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the Devils, actually got kicked out of the game after arguing with the referees after not getting any penalty on the call. Now, like I said, I don't think anybody ever thought there was any intent at all, but apparently I didn't get to see that game, but there was an interference call on Hughes earlier, a similar type of play, but yet there was nothing on Eichel in that sense. I mean, you could probably have an argument that maybe a 2-minute penalty could have come from that, but at the end of the day, it's not going to change anything in regards to the injury. Ottawa Senators did update Tyler Kleven's status here today. We knew he was going to be out, but wasn't really sure any kind of timelines. Of course, they're getting ready to play the Capitals this evening, and Travis Green is calling Kleven's situation week to week, and some sort of a mid-body strain. I'm guessing it's probably like a groin is most likely. At least that's what they called it when Josh Norris got hurt in the early part of February before the Four Nation break, and they called him week to week with the same sort of thing, and he ended up missing a little over a month. So I'm not sure with Kleven if it'll be that long or not, but for right now they've got Hamonic and Matt and Powell playing on the third pair. They will miss Kleven back there, and they got Jacob Bernard-Docker also close to returning. So from a depth perspective, they're in fine shape. They just don't have the righty-lefty offset like they normally do for them to play their strong sides. But either way, Kleven will be out for at least a couple of weeks, most likely. The Panthers today, of course, we had heard before that Matthew Tkachuk was going on long-term injured reserve. And Bill Zito, the GM of the Panthers, did confirm as well that his regular season is over. So it's not like he's going to be brought back and activated before the deadline or anytime before the end of the regular season, for that matter. They did indicate as well that they're hoping that he can return sometime during the playoffs, but no guarantee here just yet. So it sounds like those early rumblings and reports from, I think it was Renaud Lavoie at TVA Sports, that his regular season could be over, turned out to likely be the case, which means that Florida, because of an LTIR pool, is going to have a lot of flexibility salary cap wise, and could either go for another major addition like they did with the Seth Jones contract, or maybe a couple of mid-level guys. Either way, they got lots of room to make further additions to that team. And then, of course, like I said, if they're able to get Tkachuk back during the playoffs, they'll be that much deeper and stronger because of it. So we'll see on that front. A couple other contract extensions that are in the works but not confirmed here yet. The Columbus Blue Jackets are working on a deal for Matthew Olivier. We've heard from Don Waddell for a number of weeks and months that they had every intention of signing the player and keeping him around for an extended time. It's going to I don't think it's going to be a 7 or 8 year deal, but it is going to be a longer term contract, and he's expected to be getting that finalized here soon, and we'll stay with the Jackets. And in Dallas, of course, Wyatt Johnston is going to be one of the next young RFAs cashing in on a long-term deal. Dallas Stars have started those discussions with his camp already, and apparently have tabled at least one 8-year offer. No word on exactly what the AAV would be on that. I think they're probably starting around an 8x8, but at this point it's not done yet. Depending on how strong he finishes the season, could push his price tag further, but I believe it was somewhere in that vicinity, which is what's been offered so far. Colorado Avalanche general manager Chris McFarland didn't come out and say it 100% clear as day, but certainly made every indication that Captain Gabe Landeskog will not be returning during the regular season. I don't think we can completely at this point say that he would not be available to them at all during the playoffs, but it seems more and more likely as time goes on here that a comeback probably isn't going to come together. But again, like I said, it's early. It's too premature to say that, but it's been so long now that it's hard to imagine it working out. But that'll give them some flexibility from a cap perspective for the deadline. But whether or not Landeskog ever makes it back, it's difficult to say. The New York Rangers are continuing to hold out Riley Smith out of their lineup, still working on a trade for him. That is for trade-related reasons. That started with their previous game. Deal hasn't come together yet, and will be held out again today. The Islanders are also healthy scratching Anthony Duclair today. That doesn't necessarily mean for trade purposes, but the Islanders are a team that's expected to likely sell off a few pieces, but we keep getting conflicting reports out of the Islanders that they may want to keep everybody too. And I don't understand why a middling team for 3-4 years in a row wouldn't sell off a few pending UFAs, especially like Nelson and Palmieri. But we'll have to wait and see. Nobody really knows what Lou is doing. Every time you hear a new report, it sounds like it's just a big happy family and everybody wants to stay together. So we're not really sure what Lou is going to do in that sense. But on the trade front, what we are hearing for potential moves, a couple of things. One, this was just an idea from Jeff Merrick on his latest show, talking about how the Calgary Flames have slumped here as of late. Obviously, teams that are below them surging, like the Blues, for example. Utah still very much in it. Teams like Vancouver and Calgary not overly secure in a wild card race. The Flames have been slumping lately, and there's not a lot of time or games left before the deadline, but there are a couple, and if that continues, he kind of just wondered if maybe they might change course and maybe make Nazem Kadri available. Of course, Kadri has some protection, so he'd have a lot of say. We know that he, for the most part, would tell everybody that he's content to stay with the Flames, and I do believe that, but I also believe that based on what we had heard before, that there's a couple of scenarios that he would entertain on a trade, and I think one would be Colorado, and maybe the belief here is that maybe the Dallas Stars might be one, which is what Merrick was hinting at, wondering if the Dallas Stars might be the team, because we know they're going to have lots of flexibility from a cap perspective, and wondered if they could convince the Flames to make him available. But that's not based on intel. That's just based on Merrick kind of piecing things together and wondering if the team could kind of change gears here, so to speak. But it'd be interesting to see how the Flames react to their slump here as of late. I know regarding Calgary, though, there was also word from other sources that they had been showing interest in Boston Bruin defenseman Brandon Carlo. I think that's more of a move for next year and beyond as much as it would be for this year. Clearly, the Bruins are a team that's expected to kind of retool here. I don't think they've completely given up on this season, but they're right now they're a few points back and they've played more games. Brad Marchand's hurt. He's likely not going to be back until after the deadline. His future certainly, like I said, has been in question as of late as well. So I'm not sure what it would take to get Carlo out of Boston, but I know he's a player that, like I said, at least getting some interest, and I think that they would entertain it if the right offer comes along. They're also getting a decent amount of inquiries, according to NHL insiders, on Trent Frederick, who's not a big surprise there. Gritty guy, would be great for many playoff teams. Morgan Geekie getting some interest there as well. I think the Bruins are still mulling over keeping him or extending him or trading him. There's some degree of interest in Charlie Coyle too, and of course Marchand, who will have full control, but of course lots of people like the resume that Marchand has and would consider a trade. Lots of people have been linking him to the Avalanche, but at the same time, we don't know that for certain. So we'll see what happens. But the Bruins are getting lots of calls on lots of different pieces. They're still kind of mulling over their options. I know one option for Ottawa that they're looking to add, Steve Staios hasn't done anything here as of yet, but it's expected he's going to at least do something on nothing too major, but a smaller type of deal to give his team some extra help and some extra scoring here down the stretch. Elliot Friedman and Kyle Bukauskas talked about it on the 32 Thoughts podcast. And I've seen a few other sources mention it as well, but there is interest from Ottawa and Blackhawks forward Ryan Donato, who's been a really good 5-on-5 scorer this year. Obviously, with somebody with his numbers, he's not doing a lot of it like on the power play, which is good to see. They could use some more steady 5-on-5 secondary scoring. I mean, they're getting it from top guys like Stützle, Tkachuk, but even like Batherson, for example, great player, very important in their top six, but has had a weaker second half scoring wise. Pinto and Norris both missed time. Guys like Perron and Amadio, they're scoring a little bit now, but they definitely would like to beef up their top six, top nine, and get another secondary scoring forward in there. And the belief is that he is one of the players that they've been looking at. And this is the second or third time it's come up from different sources over the last couple of weeks. So I think there's reason to think that they're definitely in there. They're not the only ones by any means, though. So they will have some competition. I'm not really sure what they're willing to give up or exactly the asking price from Chicago, but right now those are a team and a player that does have a connection together. And I also took a look at an ESPN article today who had a variety of contributors. Of course, the ESPN team like Wyshynski and Emily Kaplan, etc., all kind of contributed to this. A couple of big deals that they looked at. They were kind of predicting some top trade's not really so much based on intel, but a combination of intel, gut feeling, and where they thought there's some good fits. So, we can't say that these teams are discussing these deals or anything that deep. It's just a matter of what they thought might come together based on a variety of factors here. And Elias Pettersson, we still, the future is uncertain for him. I'm still not sure we're going to see a Pettersson trade before the summer if it does happen. But this one suggests that Utah might be a good landing spot for EP40. Now, Pettersson and Soucy was the deal. Of course, we know the Canucks interested in moving the Soucy contract as well on the blue line. So that was the deal that they suggested going to the Utah Hockey Club in exchange for a combination of a couple of stronger, well, not super strong, but guys that have had decent histories in the forward group, including a younger center, Barrett Hayton, Matthias Michelli, who's been, I think, due for a fresh start. It's had some good runs there. Sean Dursey on the blue line. There was a goalie prospect and a pick, so a second rounder. So I don't know if that's really enough. We know Utah. There's been tons of talk that they want to continue to make a big splash this summer. They started to do that last year, and there have been lots of talk that they could be a big player for trade this year or into the summer. For the top guys that are potentially on the open market, whether it's Rantanen or Marner, I can guarantee Utah will be in the market to land a big fish. I'm not sure if they'll be successful. I'm not sure exactly what's going to cost them. Be in there. There's no doubt. And if Pettersson's available, he'll be one of those players they consider. I have no doubt about that. And I think it might take a little bit of a stronger deal here. I think Michelli would be a good fit in Vancouver. I can see Dursey being a good fit. Not sure on Hayton. I'm not sure if a second rounder. I think they might need to put a first in there. Might need a stronger player besides Hayton in there as well. Maybe one of their top prospects. I wonder if there's any way they could pry a Ginla out of them as a prospect. I'm not sure that's going to be possible, but Vancouver's probably going to want a combination, though, of help now and for the future. So we'll see. But, Utah might be a good landing spot for Pettersson if he does move on from Vancouver, given that it's going to be a completely different market, and he might be able to kind of, not saying there wouldn't be pressure, but just get him out of a Canadian market where there's not so much scrutiny and media pressure. That it might be better for him. I'm not sure, because I think it's fair to say that a lot of his issues are more mental than anything else. At least it appears that way. That's my take on Pettersson, but we'll see. Could Utah be a landing spot? Time will tell. And the other prediction suggestion here in this article was that the Blues captain Brayden Schenn does end up going to the Maple Leafs for a return price tag of a first-round pick and prospect Fraser Minton. Now, so we know the connection between Brayden Schenn, Craig Berube runs deep. We know Berube had his way. He'd love to bring Schenn to Toronto. I'm sure he would be selling everybody in the fact that it would be a huge help to them having playoff success and being more of a playoff Stanley Cup contender. So I can see that being a fit, but we do know that Brayden Schenn's also said that he's absolutely loved it being a St. Louis Blue. But he knows it's been a tough season this year. Things have been better as of late. But at the same time, I think we could see the team and Doug Armstrong and Alex Steen kind of show that they've had a better, they've done a little bit better here as of late. But they've also had some guys boost their value. And it might be kind of crazy to not take advantage of it. And they're listening to some insiders. They think out of the bunch of them there in St. Louis that Colton Parayko might be the least likely to be moved. Obviously Schenn's a possibility. Binnington's a possibility. Buchnevich is a possibility. To some degree, Kyrou or Thomas. But I think for Kyrou or Thomas to go, they'd really have to be wowed in a significant deal. So that's going to be challenging. But, this is the type of deal from Toronto that they are going to have to pony up at least that to get Brayden Schenn. So we'll see. There's been lots of talk. They want a centerman, and they want to be able to have more flexibility, and with the option of maybe putting Tavares on the wing for the playoffs. So this could accomplish that. He's got grit. He's got some offense. He can play special teams. He's won a cup. There's lots to like about his game, and he comes with some terms, so he's not necessarily leaving right away either. So, but he's going to have some say, obviously, where he goes, and I'm not sure exactly what his thoughts are. I think he would probably enjoy playing for Berube again, but does he want to uproot his family? Does he want to move? Those are all questions we don't know the answer to, but this article's just, like I said, just a little bit more of a fun article making some predictions, not necessarily all based on inside intel here and what's going on and being discussed for actual trades. But those are all the latest speculation from around the NHL as we get closer to the trade deadline. So we had a good flurry of activity. Things have kind of been a little quieter here for the last 24 hours. Things could pick up anytime. We just don't know. There could be trades going down right now. As I record this video, for all I know, we'll find out here when I wrap this up and get working on the next phase to get this video posted. So let me know your thoughts on all of today's news and rumors in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.